AI in Action, Halldale's podcast series, which looks at how civil aviation, military, and other safety-critical industries are adopting AI in training. In this episode, Andy Fawkes is joined by Oliver Arup, CTO at Bohemia Interactive Simulation.
It's a very complex environment right now where you could be forgiven for just saying AI and assuming that everyone knows what you're talking about.
Murat, Kose, CEO at Quantum 3D.
We are talking about the technology only. There is a price factor as well.
And Paddy, founder of Service.
Excited about the prospect of AI being able to tell us that maybe not all of those are quite as well found as we thought.
AI in Action.
Hello, everyone. My name's Andy Fawkes. I'm special correspondent for Halldale and host of AI in Action. We're delighted to have a great panel today, stellar panel today, because today we're looking at ITSEC specifically, and we're looking at the run-up to ITSEC, and we've got a fantastic set of speakers who will introduce themselves very soon. But for those who don't know ITSEC, it's coming up. Last year there was 18,500 people attended. It's the largest in the world of military simulation training, and it had 544 companies with over 2,000 exhibitors from 55 countries. So it is, as well as being a huge event in Orlando, it's got a very international perspective. So perhaps we'll look at that. And indeed, today we have speakers from Bristol in the UK, from Prague and California. So truly global, as most of our events are. So without further ado, I'll just introduce I'll get them to introduce themselves. But we have Ollie Arup, who's Chief Technology Officer at Bohemia Interactive Simulations. Murat, Kose, hopefully got that right, Chief Executive Officer at Quantum 3D, and Paddy, who's a founder and executive director at Service AI. And they'll explain very shortly what all that means. But I think before we dive into this, an interesting perspective is that it's still less than 3 years ago that ChatGPT was launched. And I think although military simulation and training have been looking at AI for literally decades, perhaps we wouldn't have held such an event or such a podcast only 3 years ago. So it's an interesting perspective. So in no particular order, except maybe alphabetical, could I start with you, Ollie? Could you introduce yourself, please, and what your company does?
Absolutely. So my name is Oliver Arup. I am CTO at Bohemia Interactive Simulations. So we are a defense simulation company. So best known for products like VBS4, which is our current desktop trainer simulation system.
Murat, could you?
Yeah, I am Murat Kose. I'm the CEO of the Quantum 3D. Quantum 3D is based in California, Silicon Valley, about 28 years simulation and training industry. And we provide service to mostly 70% to the military, and recent years we increased this commercial side about 30%. So it's changing as more commercial increasing in recent years. And so we focus on the visual simulation side. Depends on the size of the project, and if these projects are big, we are sub to big companies like a Lockheed or the Boeing. And if the smaller projects, we are doing ourselves.
Great, Murat. Thank you so much. Interesting to our audience. Paddy.
Hello, my name is Paddy Little. I'm a founder and executive director of Service Defence and Security Limited. We are a veteran-founded, veteran-owned small-medium enterprise in the UK. We focus on analytics for training across the live, virtual, and constructive areas of simulation. We also support experimentation and decision support, wargaming type activities with that analytics platform. And we have what we call a digital marksmanship live fire product as well that again does interact with the other parts of our sort of analytics suite.
Thank you, Paddy. We've got a very eclectic, dare I say, set of speakers here, and I'm sure that's fantastic for covering many of the themes. Maybe I'll start with you, Paddy. Going to the show itself, what's Service going to be? Tell us about your stand and what you're going to be showing, specifically with AI would be helpful.
Sure. So we are on two stands. We have a stand, a Service stand, which we will have all three of our products: Hive, our analytics platform; Forge, our decision support tool set; and Excalibur, our digital marksmanship system, on. And we're also very, very pleased to have been asked to be on our sort of partners mock on their stand. Obviously, at that side of things, really focusing purely on Hive, our analytics platform, and in that instance, how that works alongside VR Forces, their main CGF product. And to answer your question on the sort of AI side of things, the Excalibur live fire system uses we have a sort of predictive analytics component to that, so we're able to start predicting likely hit performance. We've started using large language models in and amongst what we do with our Hive analytics platform. I think not uncommonly around this space, using a large language model to allow natural language interaction with a database, because for all the best will in the world, however well we design and build our dashboards, however user focused we try to make them, they're almost always going to be users, analysts, operators with questions that we haven't set out to answer. So there's a real fit there that we're moving towards. And then on the Forge tool set, which combines Hive, it combines VR Forces, and has some very specific tooling as well to allow us to run many runs to answer experimental questions. Again, we use large language models in and amongst that process to compress, speed up, accelerate parts of that process, and to an extent now leading us towards being able to do more diagnostic work with it, and ultimately into more sort of predictive style analytics with it as well.
Thank you so much, Paddy. I'm sure we'll come back to so much of that in a moment. Murat, could you say what you're going to be showing at the show, and maybe, as I said, what AI aspects to it?
Well, ITSEC is, we are our major show almost every month, and a few times we talk about it and all year round as soon as it finishes as well. So we have, I think, the 5 major products that we'll be bringing, and 2 of them related to AI, and 3 of them is classic. One of them is the classic. We're going to have a dome projection system with our new hardware, basically our image generator software plus the new hardware that we just launched last year. We're going to show over there. That's going to be covering I think more than half of our booth. And second one is that we have a new simulator called eVTOL simulator. Some people call flying car or air taxi, and everyone is different name to it. And whatever it's gonna merge somewhere the full name. And third one is we're gonna bringing the UAV simulator. That's a new thing for us as well. From the AI side, is that we have been working this AI generated database and then converted to CDV side. So it's still under development. It's not deployed yet at all, and we're working with partners on this one. So basically, we have been working for a couple of years on this one. Just it's going very slow. We were thinking AI is supposed to be fast. The generation part seems to be faster, but the other side is a little bit slower. But we are almost there. You're gonna see the demo, and it's a cool. And then in New York City, and then you will come and you might be able to fly. Second one is it's a brand new. As just there's gonna be a presentation. This through our partner over there in the innovation showcase. And I think one of those days I will invite you and all the audience to attend the the showcase. That's where the adaptive learning platform. This is as I just said, we have been working with the military mostly, and getting into the military data is difficult, also impossible. So therefore, we partner with the major the commercial airlines, and then another manufacturer of a simulator, and the coming adaptive learning platform, which is basically collecting data, analyzing, and then providing a personalized simulation training curriculum to the federal pilot.
Fantastic, Murat. It sounds like a really a great stand to go to, and very interesting the eVTOL, if I got that right, drones. Ollie, could you do the same for
Yes.
for your Bohemia?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have many things on display at the show, some of which I can't tell you about, we'll leaving for a surprise at ITSEC. So this will be I think my 15th year in a row. ITSEC is always something we plan towards, and we try and have good things to announce. You'll see new generations of VBS4, our terrain processing system, so Mantle, our enterprise terrain management system, amongst many other things. Specifically looking towards AI, we have what we would class as traditional AI. So when we talk about decision tree based AI, that's traditional AI. So the movement of troops, so detailed movements of troops, use of weaponry, for example. But we also have quite a smattering of generative AI all over the stand. Everything from learning management systems to computer vision systems trained synthetically. That's about as much as I can say about it. What I can say is we have a good coverage across every department of AI at different levels.
Yeah, could you? I mean, it's sort of affecting all aspects, and as you said, it's not all AI is new.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll ask this to everyone. I mean, if you have a sort of as often happens, you have a military person who's been told to go to ITSEC because they're going to see all the latest. Well, hopefully this year they will anyway. Yeah. They'll go there, and I mean, what advice would you give someone? What questions should they be asking? Really, do you think of? They've obviously heard about AI and they know a bit about simulation, but how is AI affecting the whole business, and how much of it is going to stick, I suppose, as well?
From my point of view, what I would say is right now there's a lot of noise. There is a lot of noise. There is a lot of I don't want to call it techno waffle being a CTO, but that's basically what's going on. There are people who are taking advantage of military who don't necessarily understand the full workings of AI. So it's a very complex environment right now, where you could be forgiven for just saying AI and assuming that everyone knows what you're talking about. That's just not the case. I mean, there are there's a very wide gambit of what AI means and what it means to individuals even. So on the show floor, what I would say is ask the big questions first. So whose model is it? Whose AI is it? You're probably going to see 20, 30, 50 individual AI systems there, which is just a wrapper around an open source model, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's the reality. It's not something that necessarily there's a huge amount of IP that belongs to an individual company, but they might be adding expertise. And it's important to understand that, right? Because there is a very big difference between building and training a model and then using and adapting a model. So for soldiers, I think it's really a case of, read online, read what's out there, understand what you can do as an individual nowadays, because things have moved on quite significantly, and then try and avoid the kind of razzle-dazzle and kind of exciting stuff in the background, but focus on the what does this actually do for me? Why is this a good thing? And I think if you can ask those questions, then fundamentally, if you replace AI in your brain with the word software and still have a conversation, you're in a good place. If you can ask, what does this software do for me and how does it help me, instead of what this AI does for me, then I think you'll be in a better place than if you just go out there and say, I want AI because AI is good.
So fantastic insight. I mean, Paddy or Murat, what do you think of that question? Paddy?
Well, I mean, I certainly couldn't summarize that as well as Ollie has. I mean, I think just perhaps to build on that a little bit, I mentioned the use of large language models to sort of query with natural language databases and so on, which a number of people are doing, and sounds on the surface of it to be a fantastic thing. But the trick is deeper and more difficult than that, because a lot of large language models off the shelf will do that sort of thing. And if your prompt is written very, very precisely and consistently every time, then you will get good results from it. But if your prompts are written poorly, inconsistently, then you'll get some very persuasive looking results that just aren't correct, that just aren't true. And so there's the sort of, I think, the sense of some healthy skepticism on some of this by the same group that you identified sort of coming onto the stand. I think that's a very sensible way to put it, that yes, ask those questions, because it's not necessarily all it seems to be.
And Murat,
yes, very interesting that for the ITSEC is like usually that difficult word, and they ask us, what is the latest and greatest you guys have right now? Okay, that's the word that the military ask, and then also the big companies usually ask. And we have a small preview usually in the June time, the thesis, and we attend that place in the June frame time, and they're asking, what are you going to bring? What are you going to get? What do you have? The question regularly being asked already. And so what also I tell them, just, okay, you just have to come to the ITSEC, and then we're going to see something that you're going to like it. And so one of the things that is, I would suggest that, do you have the demo for it? And it's as opposed to the theoretically, okay, we can talk about a lot, and then can you show me? And then compare the what we are used to it. Okay, that's the main thing. I think the hands-on demo, as well as the show me what you got. It's just try to understand the customer, that they want to see it, a kind of preview. This is the main thing that we have been really experienced, and then that's why we spend a lot of effort to just take all those things, as opposed to just either what they can come to our office, we do it. And one thing that is, I would just this AI side of it is that, since it says, Oliver says there's a lot of noise around them. Right? Just since a lot of noise, how are we going to filter those ones? What is good for me? What is not good for me? And how am I going to use it? It's going to be working out. Usually things start as a joke. Okay, in the military side, they said, "Oh, is it going to be working in the military at all?" And then answer, "Well, wait and see." And so that's why I think that when we have access to, one of the things is that if you give us access to the data, and yes, you're going to grow and develop good things. But if you don't have access to data, AI is not going to be useful for military or anyone else. And so if your data is good, and then your AI is going to be, model will be good. If it's not, because we have been involved in this one, when you generate some kind of AI data, and then later on fixing takes a long time. In here, in the Silicon Valley, when we talk to the guys, almost every day, everyone talks about some kind of AI stories. And even last night, one guy was saying, "Oh, he just did. They fired the one junior." The junior software developer, and then the AI generated, the coding, and then they have to hire another, the software to fix it, and then they pay more money. So you had to keep the balance on this one. I think I would just ask him.
Great insight. Yes, I could imagine that. And so on the theme of data, do you think the sort of needle has moved in the last year since the last show? Well, maybe you'll find out. But do you think that importance of data is being stressed enough, and the sort of defense departments and military acting on it?
I think it's definitely come up more. People are aware that they are collecting a lot of data. I think quite often these are not technical problems. It's more of a case of an organizational issue of, okay, you're collecting data, but you're collecting it in stovepipes in different areas, and really to train an AI model, you need lots of data, just lots and lots of data and as varied as possible, ideally, depending on what you're trying to do. And quite often there is now this kind of awareness that yes, we have lots of data, but we're not doing anything with it. And it's that leap to the next step of, okay, we have the data, where are we going to put it all? And really, we're almost at the stage of likening it to the early stages of cloud. When cloud first became a thing, people were like, "Oh, cloud, this is an amazing thing, but it's scary. I don't know how to use it. We're not going to use it. It's too scary." And then generally things start increasing and saying, "Well, maybe we can use it for this, that, and the other. It can be accredited for various security purposes, etc." AI is kind of in a similar spot right now, where it exists. You can do a lot with a lot of data, but you still have the same concerns that were affecting cloud in those early days. Security and access, and but you have now another layer of complexity on top of it, which is validation and IP control and all those good things. So yes, I think data is definitely a thing that people are more aware of. is it something that is agreed on, like what they're going to do with it? Not in my experience yet.
Can I jump in on
Yeah,
that as
Paddy,
well?
you're shaking your head, so that must
No,
mean
no.
something.
Well, shaking. I mean, shaking my head in agreement. Because yeah, I mean, I think when was the best time to start properly collecting well curated, meta tagged metadata? Well, it was probably about 5 years ago. When was the second best time? Well, right now, and I'm still not convinced that we are doing those things. I mean, in our company, we end up using training data in two senses. One, data that we're trying to use to evaluate performance of things, but also increasingly data that we want to train models with. And my frustration, I think, is that the two things do go side by side. Over the years, we've been needing to get past, I think, the sort of process, culture, policy issues that really are the primary blockers, because they're not. I don't see them as being sizable technology blockers. We could, in industry, if freed to do so, be doing better by curating, by putting metadata into what we're storing. But at the moment, a lot of the use of these simulators, the data is used. It's one-time use only. It's used to support an after-action review. It doesn't get used again.
Yeah, interesting. And Murat?
Yes, this year is very interesting. Actually, 2025, being a new administration in the US, there is a huge shift. Okay, this is gonna be a totally different ITSEC than the last year. I'm 100% sure about it. People coming about the agenda and all those. Plus, the government shutdown is gonna affect a little bit as well, and in the US, because of this one. But what thing is, the last over the years, recently I listened. Many, either generals or the high-level officers that are talking about that. Two key things. Last one, I get this Secretary of the Air Force and the Secretary of the Army in the AUSA. Another one is in another event. They talk about it. One thing they have been talking about is that what do you have at the recent and the greatest things, and come directly. So they want to do things faster than before, because they realize technology grows so fast. And by the time they deploy it, and then new technology comes, and then they also realize it's because of the AI is going to be faster than before, it's going to grow. They said, okay, let's do this, guys. If you have some projects, and come to us directly. Do not. I think they are making much easier the companies, especially small companies and new companies, to do get the projects and stuff. But from the company perspective, and when we talk about the data. And it's, you cannot access our data. You cannot do this one. So you had to show us different ways. That's why our shift is a little bit, we access to some commercial simulator data, and then give them this is what happens over there, and then try to convince them to this is gonna be. However, I still think that they are not gonna allow the existing data over there. But there's going to be some research going on. They might sponsor some research. They are very open to it, by the way. I think this will be good for you, Paddy and Oliver as well, and then for our company as well, and the similar companies, is that they are just prepare always the 2-minute speech. That it's just like in California here, everybody has the 2-minute speech of different type of projects. And now they want to, actually they said, we want Silicon Valley way of doing the business in military, although there's some controversial, but my idea, I understand, is that fast and agile, as opposed to the slow and go to the other places. And by the time there are new administration also, I see a lot of people that they choose, and they are very they want to do fast. It's like they're in a rush, everything. Yet I can feel it from the administration. When they want to do things, they could quickly, even before you realize it. And so this is it. This year is I think some kind of shift. Next few years is gonna see how we're gonna turn out.
So really, AI might be seen as something to speed up training or speed up getting to the point of training. Is that your perspective, Ollie?
Well, I think from my point of view, AI is one component in what Murat just said. I mean, I would agree that there is definitely this shift towards more agile, and which obviously from my company's point of view, that's what we've always tried to be, and that's great to see. What tends to happen though, it's all well intended, but we get to the point where lawyers get involved, for example. So from a legal point of view, as much as technology people want to play with technology, and trust me, I want to play with technology, there is an issue that unless the administrative parts of doing our work can catch up, then things will never work correctly. So legal is a good example where you are seeing in the commercial world right now a bit of a fight back happening, where IP lawyers are suddenly starting to kick up a fuss around OpenAI and how all these models are being trained and how they're replicating copyrighted IP, right? So these models have been trained on other people's IP and are sending it out to any customer. Now, I think that in a much smaller way is going to be a similar problem in our world in training and simulation. There will be a point where unless the legal community within simulation and training understand AI and understand what the AI is doing with data, there is a danger that AI within defense entirely will be shut down because of new wording put into NDAs or new wording put into data capture, new rules across different countries like GDPR, where it might be extended to use AI. And those are the things which worry me. It's not really the technical stuff. The technical stuff I could do all day, and that's great fun. It's more, how do we get that data? How do we make sure that we can actually do what these governments are asking us to do and get it through the rest of the procurement process, which does involve the administration of legal parts and everything else.
Yeah, fantastic insights there.
Oliver, I don't want to cut you. I think this is your point is good. This is AI is one part of the equation, and the classic stuff is gonna going on, and the new ones gonna go, and then slowly it's gonna merge or pass it. How it's gonna happen? For example, we had a 5-6 years ago, we come with the mixed reality simulator, and so when they said, oh, 360 domes, and you can see everything, and people started saying, oh, that means domes are gonna die. No, domes are not dying. Okay, this gonna stay there. This is not really replacing the dome. It's adding on, making things much accessible to different type of people. And we see the same thing. That's why we are bringing the dome over there in the ITSEC. It's a difficult thing, but it's adding new things and wait and see how this is gonna happen. But the thing is, I think the legal and those things always is gonna be there. But here in the new, as I said, when I want to emphasize again, the new administration shift here in the US is that they'll take care of it. I think that if they see this model is going to help the military, that legal stuff, well, they're going to manage it. I think it's going to happen. So my recommendation, I mean, from our perspective, we focus on the technology part because we work with the partners. So we're a small company. If you do all the legal, all those kind of things, we cannot manage it. Then we cannot focus on the developing something. So that's why we rely on the bigger companies, other ones, so they take care of the program management or the the other legal stuff. It makes us more like a fresh and focused, and otherwise difficult to bring something new at the time.
I've got a question about the future beyond ITSEC, and obviously you're only really worried about the nearest crocodile in the canoe is the next one. But how are you excited about prospects into 2026 and how or technology, but particularly AI, is gonna move? Paddy?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'm excited by, and I don't know exactly what Ollie is going to reveal at ITSEC, but I'm excited by the prospect of seeing simulations like VBS4 and VR Forces able to make more sophisticated use of AI to generate better and more realistic behaviors, because that improves from my perspective and where we think we come in. The sort of backdrop of then being able to use these simulators for a variety of other purposes that we can then measure and show the measurement gain from it, becomes all the more attractive, compelling a combination. So I am excited to see what Bohemia and Mock and others are getting on with. From our own perhaps more sort of prosaic end of things, the opportunities next year to extend some of our thinking around using AI to help tailor and personalize. I mean, that's clearly a growing theme that we've seen before, particularly around flight simulation training. But being able to personalize and tailor analytics in the collective training space is another sort of exciting dimension that I think we hope to be able to get into in earnest in 2026. And I think, you know, other aspects of being able to use AI to help us with pattern recognition, to help us with anomaly detection, to help us with correlations that we never went out to look for, we never knew might be there, but in collective training could be really exciting. There's a whole set of assumptions in collective training about what good looks like, a whole set of historical beliefs about what good looks like. And I'm kind of excited about the prospect of AI being able to tell us that maybe not all of those are quite as well found as we thought, and maybe there are other clues that we should be going after.
Fascinating. Any other insights into looking forward to next year?
From my point of view, it's watching the technology come towards our area. So what I've seen is, as normal with new technology, it's very much focused on the commercial sector, and you know, you as a private individual or as a commercial company. So you have free access to the internet, and you have no restrictions and or anything preventing you from getting access to these frontier models. What I'm seeing is a shift to smaller, more focused agentic AI models, which have really, you know, narrow focus in what they do, and they do one thing very well, but you can connect those agents together and do very interesting things. In our market, one of the other problems that we have to deal with is, you know, not everyone has a connection to the internet or is willing to have a connection to the internet. So it's also watching what's happening in the hardware world and seeing the hardware compute power kind of coming towards where the AI model usefulness is. So you're getting this kind of crossover where your hardware compute power is getting better, you know, more VRAM, for an example, and interesting platforms which allow you to utilize bigger models, which otherwise you would never be able to do unless you were connected to the internet or was in the cloud. So I think there's going to be a nice kind of merging where you're going to end up with really quite useful but smaller AI models running at the edge in secure military environments, as opposed to what we have now, where you have the huge frontier models and then you have a big gap between the capabilities that you're able to do offline.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Oliver. I think that's what I concur with you on this, and especially military environment or any company, that should be a more confined area as opposed to the more public one. That's what it should be. That's one. For your short question is, I'm very optimistic and positive about the 2026 and beyond. After the ITSEC, it's gonna happen. However, we had to be cautious that because we have some other. We are talking about the technology only. There is a price factor as well. So it looks like it's a cheap initially, but after some time, Google Gmail came as a free things, and then Google was free initially. Later on, you look at it, it's a price. When you pay it, it's like a Microsoft is a comparable right now. Just order when there's other things. Plus, these companies, AI companies, data centers, they are investing billions of dollars here. How are they going to recover their money? And then maybe they always said maybe there's illegal stuff or those kind of places. I don't want to put all my eggs in one place, and that's why we want to keep it the classic one as the growth. So from the AI side, I forgot to mention that there we have two compare next to each other. We're going to have a level D demo database, regular classic CTB level D demo. You can see what we have done. They were still using the old-fashioned way. I wouldn't say old-fashioned way, but it's just the classic way, I would just say. And then the next to it was going to be the AI CDB demo. So you can compare it. And down in the line, in fact, we have potential customers that they are waiting. Okay, if you can do this fast and then this price, done. So they are waiting in the line to, send the orders. But still, first we have one of my test engineers that just, is just always, he said, oh, okay, make sure that before selling that we test ourselves as much as possible. So it is, it's kind of sellable products. And even they tell me before selling, we had to test many times. I said, how long are you going to test? By the time you test it, and new one is going to come up. But it's so price factor is another one that because I realized that when I was doing this AI stuff, we did some calculations. Price is not sometimes the best, because it's not gonna be cheaper. But in terms of the speed, I think that's what I realized. In terms of speed is gonna be our winning factor, and the price factor it might be more expensive than before. So we have to be cautious where these data center companies gonna win get their money. One more thing, for example, so far classically NVIDIA, it's like 10 minutes from our office. We work regularly with the engineers to engineers. When you talk to the engineers, you get more understanding. Oliver is in this area usually as a CTO. Is that they used to tell your company, Quantum 3D and similar one, where we're doing edging, cutting edge in terms of the using their GPU power. Okay, right now AI companies are in the edging, so that's what they are saying. They are just pushing the limits. We are still pushing the limits, but the AI places not enough. And then a lot of money is going. They have to get this money from somewhere.
Fantastic insight again. Well, the time always marches on. I've been totally absorbed in your conversation, gentlemen, myself. So it's fantastic. I would like to ask one final question. If you've forgotten to add anything, please use this as a chance. But this is a sort of hypothetical question. You're all very busy, and I'm sure you won't escape your stands. You've already booked. But if you were to be given time to walk around the show and maybe the conference, what would you be looking out for? That it doesn't need to be AI related either. What are the things that you might be? Is it looking for competitors, or is it looking for genuine new technology or new entrants? Any thoughts on that question?
I guess I'll start. So from my point of view, having been for many years, there's a danger of becoming relatively cynical about ITSEC and saying the same things again and again and again. So my focus tends to be on the smaller companies, the one man or two man booths where they might be doing something really interesting. And actually, AI is one of those big things I'm going to be looking at and just saying, what are people doing? How are they able to use AI? Because AI for businesses is an efficiency game, right? So you're going to see smaller companies achieving more with less, in theory, right? So I want to see who's out there from these smaller companies. They could be, just straight out of college doing interesting things. Because those are generally the ones that kind of open your eyes a little bit and kind of maybe open up new areas that we haven't thought about.
Yeah, Ollie, when I was in the Ministry of Defence, I was very busy, but I always tried to take time to go around the outer limits of the show, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paddy, what are you? I know you're going to be busy, but if you had time, what would you be looking for this year?
I mean, it's always a huge challenge trying to get around. I mean, I always come back with a slight feeling of regret that strong feeling of regret that I haven't seen enough. And there's always, it's too easy to get trapped onto your own stand. We're coming with a bigger team than we have done before in the past, and I'm hoping that's going to give me a little bit more freedom to get off the stand. Now, aside from visiting Bohemia's stand and Quantum 4D, which will obviously be number 1 and number 2 on my list of visits, I think this outer ring concept has a lot going for it. I think that's very good advice, Ollie.
Great.
Yeah, Paddy, we didn't start it to 4D yet, but Quantum 3D. So maybe it's something we should start another D.
One more dimension.
One more. It's fine.
One more, yeah, that's good. Maybe the 4D will be the AI part. So, in terms of timing, yes, we are busy, but I think if there's something that I take time and go out and then see the number one is I go to our customers who didn't come yet and just tell them what do you need. Second one is sometimes if somebody they will tell us, oh, you should go see it. Last year, very interesting happened. And somebody brought a big LED dome, and they were looking for software to run it. And then somebody suggested, and it came, can your software run, this LED? First time I heard it, I had no clue about it, what's going to happen. I said, yes, of course, it will be happy, because but my engineer doesn't like this one. Why are you saying no? What if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. He doesn't have anything right now anyway. So, and then he went, then they put our software in it, and immediately his dome, and I went to see myself as well. So, but other places I would like to go is that, when people, as people suggest usually, is the smaller companies, and I think we're saying, and then the big companies, I am more interested in than their questions, like what do you need, what do you have? I think because we are considered a small company, So that's why I was just, okay, tell me what you need, and I come and see if we have the stuff we have is something that you are interested, or do you totally need something else? Okay. And but I will tell you that you're going to have a lot of questions about the UAV stuff. I think there are a lot of interest. We do this thing, a lot of UAV related, drone related questions and interest is going to happen in these places. I am 100% sure. That's why we're having a UAV simulator as a side thing over there.
I mean, I could have one other comeback on that. I think the other one that I always regret not spending enough time on is the services own stance. So US Army, US Marine Corps, and US Air Force, because I'm always interested in what are they trying to tell us in industry? This is their shop front as well, and there are some messages they're clearly trying to put across to us. So I'd be saying to anybody watching this, if you can get some time on US Marine Corps, US Army, US Air Force stands, then you really should.
There's some fantastic advice there for anyone going, and if you've got we've an interest on drones. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how many stands have drones reflecting modern warfare that is going on, and how do we train all the soldiers that need to be trained in the future. So I think it's hugely important.
It's definitely going to be a theme.
Yeah, I hope so. We've just launched an article on drones.
Very good. It is too.
Good. Yeah, that's good.
Well, thank you. It was just to kind of move the needle a bit in the conversations, and I hope it's achieved that. So thank you. Great. So that brings us to a close. I've, as I say, really enjoyed this myself. I hope you, as listeners and viewers, have enjoyed it too. Amazing advice for attending the show, but also some of the issues around AI, but of course also the excitement. So Emerson team will be at ITSEC, and so they'll see you there. But I want to thank Ollie, Paddy, and Murat for their time today and their expertise and their valued input. Thank you very much.